Right now, we are going to focus on what has come out of that hearing that was much anticipated. We're going to tell you all about what has happened in Guyana, the opposition's take. We hear from Gail Teixeira, executive member of the PPPC, I believe. Good morning, Ms. Teixeira.
Good morning.
How are you doing this week?
Being challenged in Guyana, but thank you very much for having me again on your program, and good morning to Barbados.
Yes, we are happy to have you. We like to get those updates for ourselves and for our audience. So coming out of yesterday's High Court hearing, what can you tell us this morning?
Well, the High Court ruling yesterday was, it was expected, but look forward to at the same time. The Chief Justice ruled in a very well presented and very carefully presented ruling that she made a number of major points which are critical. The applicant, the APNU representative who went to the court, asked for 28 reliefs to basically stop the Guyana Elections Commission from declaring the results of the recount and preventing them from doing so. And you go back to fraudulent reports that all the international community and the opposition parties had declared were unusable, and that's why we ended up in the recount in the first place. So the Chief Justice based her rulings on the rulings previously of the Court of Appeal and the Caribbean Court of Justice on July 8th. And so there were three fundamental things that came out of the ruling, and that is that the recount order was valid. The recount results must be used for the declaration of the final results of the March 2nd elections, therefore preventing the Chief Elections Officer, who has on 4 occasions, and I think on the program last week I said that, on 4 occasions he had disobeyed and refused to comply with the Chairman of the Elections Commission request for the results based on the recount. And the third issue she raised, which was also important, is that the Chief Elections Officer must follow the instructions of the Guyana Elections Commission, that he was a functional authority and not a constitutional one. The constitutional body was the Elections Commission, headed by the chairman, and had a constitutional mandate, but he did not have one. Thereby, the court therefore brought an end to the impasse that had existed between the chairman and the Elections Commission. She also ruled res judicata on all the issues, that these had previously been dealt with in the previous courts of the Court of Appeal and the Caribbean Court of Justice. And so, one of the important points she made as she was concluded, she lamented the fact that persons had approached the court on these same matters. In fact, paragraphs in the presentations, the applications, in the case on March the 16th to stop the recount, the submission of June the 18th to prevent the GCOM chairman from moving on the recount, and the recent case of July the 16th, that she lamented the fact and said this was abuse of the court's time, and therefore, they were same parties were part of all of 2 of the 3 of the submissions, the applications, so that it's a major ruling that she's come forward with. Unfortunately, the General Secretary and campaign manager of the APNU-AFC coalition, Mr. Joe Harmon, has announced yesterday, and it was said in the court as well by the lawyers for the APNU, that they would be going to the Court of Appeal today. So we're still on this treadmill, what I call a treacherous roller coaster for the last 141 days. So it appears as if we're going to be back sometime today.
Wow. What could that mean for you? I was thinking, that this signaled a moving forward and getting down to business, really, of government and governance.
Yes. I mean, clearly the judiciary in Guyana and the Caribbean Court of Justice have been absolutely clear on what is required, what's the Constitution, what the laws are, and making it very clear that if there are any doubts or challenges or irregularities that have to be dealt with in election petition, that the Guyana Elections Commission nor the court at this stage with no declaration cannot invalidate or remove people from their votes from the declaration. And so despite that, the Granger-led government is continuing to try to thwart the will of the Guyanese people. You know, this is unprecedented. We cannot find, and there is no case in the world where a parliamentary democracy, even in a dictatorship, that anything like this has happened, that people are waiting 141 days. I think Guinness Book of Records has said that they have been inundated by people bringing this to their attention.
Wow.
And that they're waiting for the results before they put it in the Guinness Book of Records. I mean, I'm laughing about it because in Guyana we have to survive. It's 141 days and we have to stay positive. I mean, we know that we have won. The People's Progressive Party Civic has won, and we have the support of the entire world. The Secretary General of the United Nations, the Secretary General of the Commonwealth, the Secretary General of the Organization of American States, the European Union, the former chair of CARICOM, your Prime Minister, and now the present chair, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves. The Carter Center, the elders, governments of Brazil and Norway, United States, Canada, Botswana, for example, have all come forward. 133 countries have called on the Granger-led government to concede that they lost the elections and stop trying to prevent the declaration of the results so that an illegitimate government can be installed. And so we're very positive that we will succeed. The issue is how long this will take, because obviously if they go to the Court of Appeal, there's also the chance that we as Guyana end back at the Caribbean Court of Justice, which would be really a tragedy and a travesty. And you know, as Guyanese, we are embarrassed by all this. Our international image has been damaged terribly by what is going on. And we're embarrassed by it as a people, even though we're not responsible for this. That our dignity as a people, you know, is being thrown out the window. And I must say too, the economic situation is getting worse. You know, we haven't had a budget. The last budget debate was December 2018 for the year 2019. It is now the 7th month of the year. We're almost finished. There's no budget. No parliament since December 21st, 2018. And so we're really in a very delicate and potentially dangerous situation.
Okay. Now, it's for those of you who may have missed it, of course, this would have been something that the Chief Justice has ruled against that. The Caribbean Court of Justice is supposed to be our highest appellate court, and it's supposed to be the final say. But as you pointed out, here you are still with this situation. There are so many questions I still want to ask. What's next? Do you see the possibility of any civil unrest on the grounds? There's so much. We give you an opportunity to make that quick comment.
First, to go back to the case quickly, and that is that the Chief Justice has basically thrown out everything that was asked for by the applicant and referred back to the Caribbean Court of Justice, so that we're very clear that she has put her foot down on this. In relation to our people, our people have been extraordinary. Everybody has commented on the level of discipline and patience, extraordinary patience that we've exercised, particularly at this time with COVID-19. We believe very strongly that the government is desperate. It's running out of options, at least legal options, and that we believe that we're righteous, the will of the people of Guyana is a righteous one, and that we voted at a transparent and fair election commented by everyone, including President Granger. And so it is a matter of time. It is a matter of time, but in the end, every attempt to thwart the will of the people will be overcome. We're confident on that, and I think that is what is sustaining our people to breathe and to just let the process go through. It will end. It will end. It must end. And at this point, at least for us on the opposition and all the democratic forces who are waiting for the declaration, we are not involved in any civil action or violence whatsoever. Or it is really the APNU supporters who've been having protests, one of which was so terrible that was commented on internationally, where they had a protest with the coffin with the chairman, an effigy of the chairman of the Guyana Elections Commission, where they stomped on it and claimed to have officiated at her funeral. And so that they have been the responsible ones for this terrible attack on the chairman of GCOM and also the ambassadors and anybody actually who criticizes this.
Okay.
I just want to thank the Barbadian people. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, okay. I just wanted to thank then the Barbadian people and your government for taking a very principled position on Guyana. We really appreciate that.
Okay. Once this situation gets sorted, I mean, you don't know what it is, but based on the ruling by the High Court, what are some of the things that you believe would be critical for putting in place by the PPPC?
I mean, the first thing is we have to get the results and we have to get our president sworn in and to be able to establish a government. In our manifesto, we've made a number of commitments, and we have, as a party in government, have implemented many of those commitments we've made wherever we have not succeeded in some cases to complete them. But our commitments to inclusivity, which is what our Constitution calls for the removal of discrimination, which has been a part of the Granger-led government, that we are people of many ethnic groups and there is place for all of us. There is spatial opportunities in Guyana for all of us. There is no one ethnic group that is superior to another. And so one is the issue of governance issues that are critical of the manner in which we govern, which we have made commitments to ensure that people equality and anti-discrimination procedures are in place. And also, of course, issues of righting the economy, which is in really terrible state. Because if we can't do that, we don't have money to reduce poverty and to be able to provide jobs for our people. 30,000 people lost their jobs in the last 5 years. So we have an enormous amount of work to do, enormous. In 92, when we won after the first free and fair elections, this was a collapsed country. It was a collapsed economy. I regret to say, as a politician who's been around for rather a long time, that I regret after all these years, in 2020, we're almost back at the same state of our country as it was in 1992. We have to reconstruct, we have to rebuild, and we have to build trust and confidence of our people in the institutions that exist in our country, because those have really been undermined.
All right. Well, thank you so much for spending this time with us. And we hope that everything, a resolution, a true and final resolution can be met very, very soon in the very near future. So I hope things go well today. Thank you so much for sharing with us, Ms. Teixeira.
Thank you very much, and morning, Barbados. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
I love that. All right. Gail Teixeira is executive member of the PPPC, and she was updating us on the High Court ruling issued yesterday in Guyana, but clearly pointing out that after that, the opposition, of course, who still, I should say, the still incumbents seem to be heading back to the court. So we will see what is happening as we go through the day. You can stay tuned to us here on CBC TV 8 we will indeed keep you updated. So right now we're going to take a break, and then we're going to get between the pages of a good book, tell you what's up with the author.
Morning, morning, morning.